On pages 2-3 and 2-4 of our notes, we are looking at solving equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. So if you look down at number 1, you have a 5y on the left and you have a 3y on the right. So eventually our job is going to be to get the variables on one side and the constants on the other. Before you do that though, you might have to distribute and combine like terms. So that's what our first two steps will be. So first step is to distribute if needed. You will know if you need to distribute if there are parentheses. Step 2 then is to combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. So what's confusing about these is sometimes you're going to do what it says. So when you're combining like terms, if it says 2x plus 3x, you're going to make it 5x. When we actually solve, when you need to move one from one side to the other, then you do the inverse. So to get rid of minus 3x, you would have to add 3x. So after step 1 and 2, if you need to do them, you should have something that looks like number 1 or possibly even number 3. So number 3, the left-hand side doesn't have a constant. Most of them will be down to 4 different terms. So you'll have a variable and a constant on each side after step 2. Now these next two steps are completely up to you which order you do them in. I always do the same thing just so that way I get used to doing it. Also, it will help us once we get to doing inequalities with these. So for step 3, I move the variables from the right side to the left side. So I'm going to do that right away in number 1. So we don't have to distribute because there's no parentheses, and we don't have to combine like terms because there are no like terms on each side of the equal sign. So I'm actually starting with step 3. I'm going to move the variable from the right to the left. So that means I'm going to subtract 3y to get it to go away. Subtract 3y. So 5y minus 3y is 2y minus 8 is equal to 12. After you move that constant term, it looks like a two-step equation that we solved in Unit 1. So first then we need to get rid of the 8. 2y equals 20. Divide by 2. Y is equal to 10. Okay, so up here in step 4, we're just going to write solve like Unit 1. Now, you don't have to always move the variable from the right to the left. You could move the left one over to the right. I just always like to have my variables on the left. As long as your constants go to one side and your variables go to the other, that's all that matters. When you are checking your answers, this one's a little bit trickier to check because you don't know what it's supposed to equal. All of our other equations so far has said equals a number. This one does not. So what you have to do is you have to plug the 10 in to one side first. So 5 times 10 is 50, minus 8 is 42. So the left-hand side, we get 42. So then you need to plug it in the right-hand side and make sure you get 42 again. 3 times 10 is 30, plus 12 is 42. So then you know you did it correctly. So you have to plug it in twice, one to each side, to make sure that they equal each other, and that's how you'll know that you solved it correctly. So for number 3, we don't have to distribute and we don't have to combine like terms because these are on opposite sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to move my 3k that's on the right over to the left. To get rid of it, I would need to subtract it from both sides. So 7k minus 3k is 4k equals negative 36. Make sure you're careful and bring down negative with the 36. Divide both sides by 4, and k equals negative 9. Again, you'll want to plug it into both sides. So you're going to plug it in here and get negative 63. Plug it in there, and you would get negative 63. So you know you did it correctly. Number 5, I'm also going to show you a shortcut on this one. So far we've moved the variable from the right to the left, wrote what we had, then moved the constant from the left to the right. If you feel comfortable, you can actually do that all in one step. So here's what that would look like. You would add 6m to both sides. So that gets rid of this one. So that means the 11 has to go to the other side. So to get rid of 11, we would subtract 11. So this is why it's really important to line up your constant terms and your variable terms. So this would be negative 1m plus 6m gives us 5m equals negative 51 minus 11 would give us 40. So instead of doing 2 separate steps, I just did it all at once. That is not something you have to do if you don't feel comfortable with it. If you do want to do that, just make sure that you move constants to one side and variables to the other. So now I can just divide both sides by 5, and m equals 8. Just one little step shorter. I'll write it again over here. If you don't want to use the shortcut, this is what it would look like. I would add 6m to both sides still. 11 plus 5m equals 51. Then show that I subtract 11. 5m is equal to 40. Then I can still divide and get m equals 8. So again, if you're feeling comfortable and want to move both things at once, you can do that. All right, 7 is where we have parentheses, so you need to distribute first. So when I distribute the 3, I get 18p minus 3 equals 11p minus 45. So again, I'll do that shortcut. I need to subtract 11p from both sides. So that gets rid of that one. So my variable's on the left, so I need to get rid of the 3. So I need to add 3 to both sides. That gets rid of that one. We would have 7p is equal to negative 42. Make sure you're careful. Negative 45 plus 3 is negative 42. Divide by 7, p equals negative 6. Again, when you're checking, you'd plug negative 6 into here, type it in exactly as it looks. Type it in over here. Make sure those two are the same answer. Number 9, we have to do all 4 steps. We're going to have to distribute, then combine like terms, then solve it. So first distribute 9m minus 27 plus 3m equals 7m plus 43. Now I will have some people that want to not rewrite this whole thing, just put the 9m minus 27 right under there and then add the 3m. So you're really only writing 1.5 steps instead of 2 separate ones. That's fine. All right, 9m plus 3m. We don't subtract 3m from 9m. We have to do what it says because they're both on the left-hand side. So 12m minus 27 is equal to 7m plus 43. So you combine them first the way that it says. Now, since I need to move them from side to side, I need to do the opposite. So I would subtract 7m. At the same time, I'm going to add 27. So I would get 5m is equal to 70. Then I can divide both sides by 5 and get m equals 14. Couple of tricky things to look out here for number 11. First of all, on the left-hand side, we're distributing -1. So I bring the 5x down, minus x plus 18. So you're doing -1 times x is negative x. If you want to write the 1, you can. -1 times -18 is positive 18. On the right-hand side, you do not do 6 minus 2 to get 4 and then distribute 4. The 6 just has to come down and you're distributing -2. You have to multiply before you subtract. So minus 2x minus 30 is what we would have written for that one. So you want to combine like terms on each side so you're down to only 4 terms total. So this one becomes 4x plus 18. Again, you just do exactly what it says. 5x minus 1x is 4x. Over here, I would have -2x minus 24. 6 minus 30 gives me -24. So now I would add 2x to get it to the other side. At the same time, I would subtract 18 to move that to the right-hand side. So I would get 6x equals -42. Divide by 6, and x equals -7.